All right. Hey, Yohei.
Hey, Aaron. Thanks for
Welcome.
having me.
Yeah, welcome to Automate All the Things. It's a real honor and a privilege to have you here. And I'm so excited, as I was saying to folks in the backstage, if you will, and that I'm so excited that you're here. And I think a good place to start is how about a quick introduction into yourself, Untapped Capital, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to build today.
Yeah, I'm the general partner of Untapped Capital. We're a pre-seed venture fund in the US. One thing we do slightly uniquely is that we primarily source through outbound. So while most
Okay.
VCs find companies through referrals, I reach out to probably 90% of the founders I talk to. And to do that, I look at thousands of companies, track and tag, 100 to 200 a month, and then reach out to them. We just have to be really efficient. So I built a custom no-code CRM to run our firm. And then when I thought about setting up an LP portal, I thought let's keep it no code.
Yeah.
So I connected to my Airtable, so they get direct data from our Airtable into their LP portal, and I'll eventually be setting up a founder portal as well, probably using Softr so that I can just store all my data in Airtable.
Yeah, so I think I should have maybe told you this. I actually come from a background in finance, but maybe kind of demystifying some of the terms you're using, right? So you're a GP, right, general
Yep.
partner, and you're talking about LPs. Can you kind of just tell folks what
Yeah.
those are and why would they need visibility, and why can't you just invite them into your Airtable base? So talk a little bit about the structure and maybe at a high level, like why would someone who's not a VC kind of think of this as interesting as well?
Yeah, so to start with the VC side, right? The super simple summary is that as a venture fund, I raise capital from limited partners. So these are individuals, family offices, pension funds, and whatnot. They deploy capital into my fund, and then from that pool, I invest into startups. So
Right.
I engage with both my investors and then as with founders as an investor. My Airtable today has all the data around every startup I'm tracking for outbound, deals I'm seeing, all of my LPs, all my prospective LPs, all of that sits in one Airtable.
Right.
So as I think, what I want to, one of the things we do when we do outbound, we have a really big list of interesting startups, and I really wanted to share that with our LPs because that's some,
Mhm.
I think that's our unique proposition is that we find companies that other people don't. So I wanted a way to easily share this list. Actually, version one was a Airtable view. I just set up a
Right.
view and said, "Here's version zero." You can look at our Airtable view, but it just wasn't pretty. People don't. It's hard to engage with.
Right.
And then as I think about an LP portal, I want to be able to share them portfolio news. I'm
Right.
starting to send LP updates, so all my PDFs can live in one place. And I just wanted to package it up nicely. So I started poking around and looking for tools where I could build this myself.
Yeah. So, kind of understanding, let me translate this maybe to like a broader use
Yep.
case is that you have some information you like to share with clients, or kind of LPs are your clients, right?
Yep.
And you want to essentially put a layer on top of your database, right?
Yeah.
So that ability for them to log in, right? So that you can give that access in maybe a better way than just a link, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it's also like, oh, maybe like some search functionality or updates and things like that, right? So that ability to go from a database to something that is gated and searchable, right? So those
Exactly.
kind of feel, and when I think about just building on top of Airtable and frankly any database, right? Airtable just so happens to be what we use, right? Is that ability to go like, I really like this database. It's got views, it's got all my information in one. But sometimes that person coming in doesn't need all of that. And I don't necessarily want to give them access to all of that, right? So there's like a permissioning level that's a little different. And so you use Softr to build this.
Yep.
And I'm before we jump in here, I'm curious, like, what has been the reaction of folks, right? Do you kind of get a sense of like, oh, people love this, and you kind of talk to me about other things you want to build from here. So, what has been the reaction from your LPs essentially?
Actually, I'm inviting them today to it. They haven't actually seen it yet.
Oh
They're
wow,
excited.
okay,
They're excited to see it. I've shown it to a couple of people. Everybody I've shown it to has been excited.
right,
I've had a couple. I live tweeted the process, and I had a couple of
right.
VC funds reach out saying they just set up their LP portal following the process I did. So that was great just to hear that immediately.
So Yohei, I think you're officially a no coder if you come on the stream and showing us how you built it before making it live. I feel like that puts you right in like no coder territory. Like, welcome to the community. You're one of us
Thank you.
now. I feel and I really appreciate. I actually just want to say on behalf of like some folks reach out and we're like, hey, bring Yohei on the stream. And because you were live tweeting it. So before we jump in here, I really appreciate the fact that you're kind of open sourcing your own process and, coming on the stream and kind of open sourcing at a visual level and showing everyone how we built it. So really appreciate that.
I'm just a big fan of the build in public movement. I love seeing founders update everybody on how they're building it, and it's one way for us to kind of honor that movement is doing it ourselves as a VC fund, which is a little bit, I think, unique.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so speaking of building public, let's kick this off. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with everyone in the chat. Let me know. You should see Airtable portal here in the chat, and you, Yohei, should see my screen. There we go. Awesome. Okay. So this is a whole new setup. So give me a thumbs up in the chat if everything looks good. I changed my whole computer, whole setup, and hopefully it looks the same as it did before, like last week. So if you're here last week, hopefully it looks the same. Awesome. So where we're going to start is just a base overview. So we're starting in Airtable, and you kind of gave me this structure. How about we just start with like high level, what's in this base? What do you want to make public or kind of accessible or gated? We'll start there. Then we'll go into Softr. And our goal for today is build a login page and build a way for someone to come in, log in, and search one part of this database, right? That's our goal for today.
Yep.
So just starting with the base overview, talk to me a little bit about this base.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of work with CRMs. Most CRMs have this structure where there's a people database and an organization database is what I call the backbone of a CRM. Right. Capture every single person that exists in here in people and have every single organization captured. You don't have statuses here because this is really just the backbone. And then what most CRMs use as funnels as opportunity pipelines or funnels. In this case, that would be the funding rounds. Okay. So if you go to funding rounds, you see all. So this is funding rounds that we're looking at, that we've passed on, that we've wired into. And this is I like this format for at least venture funds because if it's wired, that's a portfolio company, right? And then actually sometimes, with mine, I'll even add reference. Like if I just see a funding round, I want to just track for my purposes, I'll just add it in here without a status. And I just a way for me to capture every single data that's relevant to me. And I always optimize for smallest number of tables possible.
Right. And that is, I did not pay you to say that. And that is a good tip for everyone, right? Always try to reduce the number of tables and fields and just generally try to have be as compact as possible, just because if you have duplicate tables, it becomes difficult to link the right record. But this is not an introduction to Airtable stream. So, when I look at this base, it's got kind of information, organization, funding rounds. Funding rounds are kind of your pipeline. And then in seeing like portfolio news, which is probably out with LPs and then kind of your updates, which I imagine is like a quarterly PDF style update you want to send over to everyone.
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
That's right.
Okay, so what about this base do you want to make public? Like, right, if I think about I want to create a portal, like what part of this database do you want to make public? A view, a table, multiple tables? Like, how do you think about building a portal on top of this?
We'll do a view. So let's go to funding rounds table. And you go to the view. I created a portfolio view.
Okay.
So this is the wired companies. And then you see I hid some of the columns. So this is an easy way to see all of the portfolio companies. So we'll do a view here. And it's only 3 companies, but you can imagine if it was 50, it's great to be able to make it searchable. If we have time, we can do portfolio news. But for the purpose of just showing Softr use case, this is what we'll include in our LP portal.
Right. So essentially, this is the information from your database that you want to make public. And the information that you want to say is like, how much did you put in? Right?
Yep.
Like what part? So there's like elements of each record that you want to put in as well, right? So how much you put in, how much it was valued, how much theoretically it's worth on paper today, and then the kind of most, how much they raised and when. So just some elements. And for folks kind of thinking about like, oh, I don't run an LP fund, maybe it's like latest deals closed, right? Or inventory, right? Like products, right? I remember when I built the Essential Guide to Airtable, like I have a course and I custom coded the whole thing in Webflow and I have to maintain that. I already had all that information in Airtable and I just wanted to put a login in front of it. This would have been a much simpler solution, but I like to make things complex. So whatever subset of your base, in this case, this view, you can put in, we're going to go ahead and kind of create a portal. Folks can log in and search this information. Okay, so this is what we want to kind of display. So let me know in the chat if there's any questions around the base. I'm happy to cover it. But I think we kind of understand the base. Let's go into Softr, right? So
Cool.
Softr, I'm going to drop the kind of link in the chat just so folks know. Hey, are cool. Welcome. So yeah, maybe a good question is like, why Softr? Like what is, were there others that you looked at? Tell me at a high level, like, why did you pick Softr?
I looked at 3 specific tools. I looked at Webflow Member Stack as one option. I looked at Stacker, which I've used before and actually really like the tool,
Right.
and then Softr.
Okay.
I played around with Webflow, and Webflow just has too much flexibility, and I wanted to
Right.
build fast. And when there's too much flexibility, I just get creative and I go down a rabbit hole. So I kind of put that off.
You're a real no
Uh,
coder. I keep saying it. You're like a proper no coder.
Stacker, Stacker has an incredible CRUD function, so it's
Right.
really great for doing permissions on being able to update and delete. So I'm still considering using it for bringing on associates to
Right.
when I grow my team. Maybe I don't want them full access to Airtable, and I want to create workflows for them. I think Stacker is a great tool for that. They didn't have good functionality on page building. It's really around the CRUD.
Right.
So I decided to go with Softr, which is more of a website builder, and one of the blocks is just connects with Airtable, which was
Right.
actually I really liked that about them.
Yeah. So for folks, the CRUD is that ability to kind of update, retrieve. Sorry, it's create, retrieve, update, delete.
Create, read, update, delete.
Read. That's the one.
Yeah.
And so essentially, what I'm understanding is that Softr, out of all of those, only allows you to read, but the advantage is that it gives you that UI, right? So
Yep.
it gives you that more control over UI. So if you're thinking of like, oh, I just want people to access information, right? I want to have it publicly accessible, like a URL, right? Softr is the solution. Now, for folks kind of wondering about Webflow, Webflow is like everything, right? So you can build UI, you can do the CRUD if you're kind of a little more advanced. You can put member stack. AATT is on the member stack Webflow stack, the WOMP stack. You're right, it is flexible, and you kind of sometimes get lost in everything that you can do. Cool. Okay, so you pick Softr. Let's log in. Like, let's go through the steps of setting up. So
Let's do it.
I did this before, but let's start from scratch. So let's add a new application.
Let's go blank.
Blank.
I always go blank.
Gotta go blank. You're a real no coder. I'm telling you.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I mean, do you want to? I mean, to show. I mean, it's essentially pages, blocks, which is the blocks that you put into the page, and then there's a data tab, which is your users.
Right.
So this
people
is
who sign up, or either you add manually.
Yeah. And if you want to, you can sync this to Airtable to push the users back into Airtable. You don't need to. And then there's some settings, which is stuff that you can go into. But I think the way I build it, I just dive into pages. Let's set up the skeleton, I guess.
Okay, cool.
So we're in home. I'll click home. So let's add your first block. And let's add a header. Let's use the first top header one. And then click on that, and it'll give you edit up. If you click on that, it'll give you edit options.
Okay, so it's almost like a Webflow, like it abstracts the HTML, so it doesn't go to the HTML element, and it like pre-styles it for you, right? Okay, cool.
So, and they give you a couple options, but you can delete all of the links for now. We'll keep the button there just to keep it simple, and then let's call this button. Let's call it login, LP portal, or
Let's give it like a generalized like kind of login.
Yeah, let's call it login. And then we don't have to pick a page yet because we haven't created the login page.
Right.
So now, next step, let's create a new page by clicking on the page tab and create a login page.
Rarely do folks come on the stream and like go faster than me. I'm really excited. Like, we're gonna speed through this. All right. So now we're creating a login page, which is where we're gonna redirect from the home page, right? So this should go to login.
Yep, exactly. And then now let's jump to the login page by going to pages again and clicking on login. So I think you're on the home. So this is the login page, and we'll add a block. You can either go to blocks or click the plus button under the header. And then, I mean, let's dive in and just add the list. We can add more stuff later. So let's scroll to the bottom.
Oh, so the login you don't have to create. It's
never mind. Actually, you do have to create the login. So I was skipping a step. If you go down further on this scroll, there is a user accounts tab.
Oh, no search. Okay. User
Yeah, there's,
accounts. There we go.
yep. So they have a
Sign in.
couple pre-built pages. So we'll do sign in.
Got it.
And there's your login page, actually. So if you click on that block right there, it'll give you options. That all looks good. Email, password, and then I think you have to pick the site you want it to go to on click. So we'll create. Yeah.
So sign in, page after, right? So we need to create
yep.
like a search page.
So that'll be the LP home, let's say, right?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we want to create a new page.
Exactly. We'll call it, LP home or portfolio if you want.
Portal home, yeah.
Portal home, yeah.
I gotta say, just from like we're 6 minutes in to actually building, and I'm like very surprised at how quick this is going. So I'm excited to see. Like I can already imagine people being like, "Oh, I did this whole thing in Webflow or whatever other tool," and that you got to find the right level of abstraction.
Like, it would have taken. Like, I mean, it would have taken so much longer to even just do this. Like this works already, right? You can already log in.
I wonder, before we continue, have you found any downsides, right, to like building, any? Maybe we'll keep that for the end. But I'm curious, like, okay, it seems really fast, but have you hit any corners eventually of like, oh, I wish I could do that?
Only stuff that I don't need to do.
Okay, that's good.
Like, oh, I wish I could do a fade in after someone lands on the page after 3 seconds. Like I don't need that, right? It's just like me wanting to do stuff.
Right. No, I get that feeling as well. Okay, so portal
home. Create the portal home. So let's actually click on the 3 dots, the umbla next to the portal home when you open up the pages tab. Oh, actually no, sorry about that. Let's leave that there. Go to pages again, and then the little 3 dots. If you click that, go to settings. And then there's a visibility. And then you can click logged in users.
Okay, right. Because you don't want someone guessing the URL and then being able to access it. So this is the way of gating that URL.
Yes. And if you want to, you can even do multiple, like you can have different user types. But for us, we don't need that. We'll just do one user type and click save.
Perfect.
So now the LP, this is now gated and only people who have an account can go in.
Okay, got it. So okay, so just the flow here. You're going to come to home, which today is just going to kind of redirect you to login, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to go to login, at which point, if you do log in, it's going to go ahead and redirect you to portal home. Does Softr kind of handle the reset password, all that jazz is like completely done by Softr? And I see you looking up at, I wonder
if there is a, in the user accounts kind of, block, there's a forgot password block that you can include.
Okay, so it's actually up to you. There's some. Okay, got it.
So you can create a forgot a password page and then use a forgot password block. In my case, it's my LPs. I think I did set one up, but we'll jump back to that because I feel like
let's put that at the end.
That's just as easy as setting up the login page. You just create a page and add a block. So I think
so at this point we actually want to. What portal home is what we want to kind of show to that user when they log in. So what do you suggest to put in here?
So I mean, I think let's add in the fun functionality first, and then we can add in like the design. So let's just go in and add a list block.
Okay, list block.
And then let's jump to the bottom one actually, because I just like that one. I mean, there's a couple of different options. Yeah, you can do cards. You can do ones that slide open.
So these are pre-built format to plug your data into, right? So if let me just select the one you just mentioned right here. Add to
but page. Actually, going back to your question about a roadblock, one of the things I wanted was a spreadsheet view, which they don't have.
Which is
like an embed table view. I think there's a couple different list views, but they said they're working on one. So I mean, it's just a matter of them just releasing new blocks.
This is a good place to ask for features, Yohei. So now is like rip it open for the next 35 minutes. I'm sure the Softr folks are here. Now request features. And in the chat, like keep requesting features if you're a Softr user. The automate all the things stream is a good place to get your features prioritized. Or so I believe. Okay, so what I'm understanding is that this is kind of a pre-built front end.
Yep.
And we're going to be able to then map each part of this to a field in Airtable so that each line here, each kind of block or part of the block is a record in Airtable. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So we're going to be able to say like, oh, put an image here, put a heading, do this with this button. And I imagine to do that, I need to have a database behind. So
that's correct.
I think this is one of the big differences from my understanding of Softr is that as opposed to Webflow, it assumes you come with your database,
That's correct.
right? Of which today it's mainly Airtable. So you have to have
Yes.
Airtable as your backend, whereas Webflow has its own CMS. So again, like different levels of abstraction that I find really interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get to the point where I have to integrations. I'm gonna go into Airtable. There's a few others, so you can add chat, right? But it seems like the only backend you can put in is Airtable. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste my API key. I'm gonna have to hide you folks here for a moment. Oh, you can still see me for some reason. Oops. Okay, let me just hide my screen like that. Sorry about that. New computer. Okay, we should be back. Okay, I've connected Airtable. And I want Airtable portal. Boom.
I think we called it LP. Oh, is that what you called it?
Yeah, I changed it. I changed it here. Okay, so Airtable portal, it's asking me what table. So each list has to be one table associated to it.
That's correct.
Okay, we want
Funding
rounds.
Yep, we'll pull that in.
Boom.
We'll do the default view will be portfolio. That's what we set up.
Wow, this is really good.
And we don't need to sort, but you can sort by new maybe. Oh, we can skip that.
Right. Yeah, close date maybe by close date.
Yeah, we'll do it by close date.
Z being the closest, I guess.
Yeah, that'll make the newest one on top. All right, so that's it. We'll go further down. If you want to add filters, you can. Right here, we don't really need filters for today.
So it's like this is on top of the view, right?
Yeah.
So it's saying, okay, take this view, but this list could have an additional filter.
Let's do one. I might as well. So let's filter by stage.
Do you have different stages here?
I think
you do.
so.
Okay, yeah, you do. Okay.
I think stage is one that we can filter by.
Stage.
And then here, you have to type in seed, comma, pre-seed, make sure it's the same kind of.
So seed, but we only have so seed is one of the stages.
And let's do comma pre-seed with a dash in between. I mean, I think is it a semicolon or comma? I forgot. I think it's a comma. Yeah, so we see the filters. Now you already see it at the top right above the search bar here.
Oh, I see. Okay,
right? So these are the filters.
Okay, sorry. So it's not filtering your list. It's
saying,
yes.
These are filter options.
Filter options. Okay, got it. So this is like a search. So if folks are coming from if folks are coming from Webflow, this is JetBoost. So this is JetBoost in Softr natively. So JetBoost is the add-on you need in Webflow to be able to do these types of kind of single level query onto the top of the CMS. Maybe that's relevant to you for folks.
Yeah, and just to play around with inline filters, like let's change the position to left. Because it's like, it's one that people often see and like people see in like, apparel websites.
Right. So yeah, totally. Okay, this is I have to say I'm impressed by how much we can do. I was not expecting. It's very fast, and it's also I think it's quite kind of it fits the use case very well, right? If I wanted to do a port, I think it's like at that good level of complexity where if there were too many options, it would kind of become I can't work on it, but this I quite like so far.
It's like the Goldilocks. It's just right, like enough flexibility, but not so much that I go crazy.
Cool.
So search bar we'll keep there, and then let's do.
Here
items.
we start mapping, right? We start mapping. So we want, what do we want in this? So image is this. I'm heading.
So I added a logo. So I think I have a logo on the. I'm not sure.
You don't. Let's do it at the end. We can add the logo at the end. Yeah. So
I think maybe that one didn't move over.
Can we just remove the image?
Yeah, we can just remove it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So here we're saying.
Let's make that the what do we call it? Name.
Yeah, name.
Yep.
Oh, awesome.
Actually, I forgot.
I think you have startup. That's your name of the
company.
Right.
You know what? Actually,
I wonder how it does.
I don't know if it'll pull in. So actually, it doesn't pull in linked record. This is something I did run into. So actually, can you jump back to Airtable and I'll show you how I solved this for now?
Yeah, totally. So just for folks, so right now you have the name of the company, which totally makes sense as a linked record. And then you have your primary field, your name field as a concatenate between the seed and the name. So, and that's actually very good practice because you might invest twice in the same company. So you want your primary key to be unique. So come for Softr, but stay for the Airtable tips, right? And now what you're saying is you want the name of the startup as a field itself, so you can pull it in to Softr. So how did you do that?
So you create a new column. I use
Yep.
formula. I think there's a couple ways to do it, but I use formula.
Yep. So I'm going to call this company name.
Yep.
And we're going to use a formula field. And what
And then
formula?
you just pick startup, the column, and then create field.
Yeah. So
and that's it.
Essentially what we're doing, and this might seem a little weird for folks, is that this is a linked record, right? So this is, if you think about what this is all the information of that record. So this field is saying this seed, this funding round is related to that company. And we just want one element of that. We just want the name. So if you wanted to pull in any other piece of information, you could use a lookup, right? So maybe you wanted the company, what they operate in, and you want it in your funding round, you can use a lookup field, right? But here we just want the name. So we're just making it equal to the primary field of the linked record. So we're getting a little, we're cutting hairs here, but that was a good solve.
Well,
so
while we're here, let's make a description table with a lookup, because you mentioned that. Because I think I didn't do that.
Yeah. So you're
let's
saying
create another column.
So company description.
Yep.
And we're going to be a lookup. So because we want to pull in one of the fields from startup, and then you have the description, right?
Yep.
So we're going to go into that linked record, pull in a piece of information. Let's create that field. And then we're pulling in that kind of short description of that company, which we want to then again add to our list so that folks who are kind of looking at it can kind of understand what that company is all about. So I imagine here let's pull it in at the end. Or actually, no, you want to pull it in terms of this one right here. So
Exactly.
let me go ahead and refresh. Nice, it's got a little refresh button. That's pretty
cool.
Oh,
I didn't even notice that. I was like moving away and coming back. That's actually much nicer.
Yeah. So let's see if we've got description. No, so this was heading 1, which was name. No, company.
Yep. Company name.
What do we call that? We called it company name. Yep. Company name. There we go. Okay, great. So now we've removed that primary field. And then we have this little text, short line of text,
yep,
which we want to give company description.
Yep.
Boom.
And then maybe for tags, we can use funding rounds, I guess, for now.
No, it has to be stage. Isn't it this right here?
Oh, stage. That's what I meant. You're right. Stage.
Right. So if you have a search, you actually have to, yeah, that makes sense. Stage.
Well, you don't actually have to show it. You can still filter by it.
Oh, interesting. Oh, because we're okay. Got it. That makes a lot of sense.
But let's call it stage. And then at least the way I do it, I just use the button to send to their website. So you can actually use it to point to an internal page that shows details about the company.
Right.
If you want to create a list page, or you can do it to an external page and just call a column.
Got it. Okay, so let's just do the external for now, and then if we have time, do you have?
I think I don't have URL, so you'll have to pull that in as well.
That's okay.
From the
yeah, that's super easy. So organization, no, this links to organizations, right? And then URL. Okay, so I have to look up the URL, right? So I have it in my funding rounds table. So company URL. It's going to be a lookup.
You know what? I'm realizing that I actually think I did something. You know what? That's fine. This works great. I actually think I made a portfolio view in organizations, but it's all right. This works just as well.
Portfolio view in organizations. Oh, right. Also makes sense.
Yes. So we could have just done that, and I think that's what. Oh, that's how I set it up, and I thought we were going to do it that way, but I just swapped back.
Let's see if we can actually. So this is going to be interesting because this is a lookup field, which doesn't say what it's going to be, right? So it might be unclear to Softr that this is a URL, right? Let's see if Softr, and if not, we've got some Softr folks in the chat.
I think we'll have to refresh it here. We'll refresh again, and
there we go. And then let's go to website.
Yep.
And then open page. No, we want to open external URL, and then we can pull a field. I wish I could search here. And there's a small suggestion for the Softr folks. I wish I could search, like type in here, company URL. Okay.
All right. So now, I mean, this should in theory work. So
In
now you
theory.
have login and list already. So let's
Okay.
go quickly to the data tab
The data tab. Okay.
on the left. And then, so they have the functionality to do test data versus live data. So I think we're in the test view. So you can
Okay.
add a user. Let's make you the user.
Okay. There you go. Let's save that.
All right. So now you're a user in there. And then we should be able to, this should work already.
Okay.
So I think we can go to,
yeah, in the chat, let me know how confident we are on the scale of 1 to 10 that this is going to work. I'm like a good 9. I feel like you've done this enough times that this is going to work. So preview or publish?
let's just publish it.
Publish it? Man, you're I
Let's do it
respect
live.
you. I respect you, Yohei. You're gung ho. You're gonna fit right in.
Let's
You're gonna
go.
fit
Let's
right
go.
in.
Let's go to the not the preview, but the publish site.
Oh, okay. So I've got a URL here already.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
Okay.
that's
Log
the home.
in.
Log in.
Okay. Oh man, am I gonna remember my password? Okay.
There you are. So now it's
Wow.
that's a gated website with the querying Airtable. You can filter by seed or pre-seed. The search bar is live search, so you can start typing in like lion or bear. By the way,
Really? So
yeah,
does
so
it
just
only
start,
search on the on the heading?
no,
Or
you can choose where it searches. Actually, you can choose which columns you want it to search by.
oh, okay. Okay. So here, like right now, if I go Tigerly.
Oh, why is it showing?
Oh, okay. Well,
it
we'll
should
fix it.
filter down. Yeah.
Okay, we'll fix that. But so
Yeah.
this should search either one field or have like a kind of dynamic search. If we go into seed, it properly filters, and then precedes, it properly filters at single select. So that's working. We might want to change this, right? Once it's like, once you're logged in.
Yeah,
Right?
you
So
can change. It like how we did permissions
right.
on page levels. You can do permissions on either blocks or even specific elements. I think depending on the element.
Yeah.
So we can search. We can hide that button if people are logged in.
Got it. So Arthur is telling us we have some mistakes here, that we added the user for preview environment, right? Okay, so that makes sense.
Yes, Arthur's
Right,
with
right.
Softr, by the way, for people who don't know.
So bug him for feature request.
Right.
Okay, so
but it did work though.
No, it totally worked. I'm amazed. Like we're 26 minutes in, and we've got what feels like
a gated login page with Airtable querying.
Yeah, and what I like about it is like it you're right that it hits that like good medium level, right? In the sense of like when I created the Essential Guide to Airtable, I spent so much time setting up the CMS and Webflow, and then putting member stack on top, routing via Zapier to get my mailing list set up, right? But here I would have, if it would have just been like, here's your course, you know? Okay, so let's fix those little things that we had there. And then, you know, we can kind of, I'd love to know in the chat, like, what would you like us to cover? Maybe payments, maybe you want to kind of redirects, things like that. Let me know in the chat what you want to kind of spend in our extra time, because Yohei was super fast here of building this. Zapier integration, do you want to know about like how we could route emails to an email sender? Let us know in the chat, and we're happy to cover that. But let's fix some of those issues that we just found, right? So one issue was the search.
Yep.
So let's go into blocks. No, we want to go into pages.
Pages. That's
portal
right.
home. And click on this. And then the search. Okay. And here we go. So
by
placeholders, type here to search. Yeah, that's great. Search by, we want to company name.
Yep.
Oh, this is a multi-select.
Yes.
Cool.
So let's say company name and description.
Yeah. Oops. Company description. Awesome. Okay.
And then I think we'll have to publish it to see if it works.
Wow, that's really cool. Okay, so I've got company name, company description. And now, so that was the one thing. Do we want to check that at first?
Yeah, let's hide the login too while we're here.
Okay. Yeah.
So
nothing scares you, Yohei.
Actually, so this is interesting. So Softr has the functionality of doing a default header and a default footer that you can only set on your homepage, and you have to edit it there. So the way I did my LP portal is you can go to click on pages again, and then go to the settings of portal home.
Settings, yeah, settings.
Settings, and then click on default header and footer, and then turn off the default header. Is what I did. And then you have to actually add a block here for your header.
Oh, got it. Okay, so we're just saying, okay, in this case, let's add a new header and then just remove.
Just remove everything for now.
Right. Okay, right. And then, perfect. Yeah, because you're logged in. You don't need it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we could create a log out, I think, if we wanted to. But let's test this for now. I think if we do too much,
so it's publish.
Yeah, I don't like doing too many changes before testing because then if it breaks, you don't know what broke.
Yeah, you haven't isolated the changes to know what actually broke.
Exactly.
So let's go here, refresh. Okay, so we already see we don't have the login button, right? That's great. And then if we search, so let's go tiger. Okay, so you see that it searched that primary field. And if we search big cats, let's search something else. That makes more sense. Let me kind of go back. Let's see. Autonomous. One thing I'm wondering, and this will be just, I'm curious if it works, and then we'll consider this. Could I search on something that's not shown?
I believe so. Let's test it. What's a good column for that?
So like amount, investment amount.
Yeah, let's do that, and then see if we can type in the dollar amount and see if it shows up. Looking at it, actually no, all the amounts are the same in the spreadsheet. Valuation would have been better.
Let's just change it.
Oh yeah, good call.
There we go. So I'll refresh. I'll refresh here. Right. So theoretically, if I enter 250,000, it should pull up Tigerly and Bear. Oh no. It might be just a formatting thing.
It could be a format, or it could be...
No, it is a formatting thing.
It is format, yeah, because it's the currency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Wow. Okay, so I think this is a success.
Yeah.
Let me know in the chat if we feel like this is a success. Like I'm super impressed that we've just built in what is 36 minutes, a login page, a redirect when someone's logged in, and we're showing kind of information from Airtable on the front end so quickly and so easily. So Penny says success. I think it's definitely a success. So Yohei, you won't hear this, but there's going to be some confetti in the chat.
Oh, great.
All right. It's been a while since we've done the confetti, so I'm pretty happy about it. So I'm really impressed. I'm going to go into the chat and see what people wanted to see in terms of next steps here. So folks talked about Penny favoriting and upvoting. So
they have a list block with upvoting functionality. We can play with.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to? Let's jump into it.
I haven't played with it much, but yeah, let's pull it up and just look at it.
Okay, so let's imagine you want to look to your LPs to see which company you should invest in, right? Which I mean, maybe that makes sense. So list. Right?
Yep, list. And then I think the top one, it was the upvoting functionality.
And upvoting button. Okay, so let's create a new page here. Let's kind of create I guess it makes more sense to have a new page. And then upvoting. Oops. Upvoting. Save. Let's gate this one as well. We don't want anyone upvoting if they're not an LP.
Exactly.
Visibility, logged in users, save. Okay, boom. So then we're adding a block. We're adding a list block. Add to page. Oh, okay, here we go. Wow, that was really quick. And then, so let's go back. This is our
Airtable portal, I think. Yep.
Boom. Airtable table is going to be organizations. All right, you had investments, fundings. Let's put organizations.
Let's do organizations this time.
Yeah.
Default view. I think there's a portfolio view.
Oh no, let's give them all because you want to vote on them, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be able to. We can have a 5. Sort by.
In theory, we could, if we had it cleaned up, we could do active rounds so that people can just see the companies we're considering. Right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but
so by valuation. Okay. I don't really like. I don't
We can
really.
remove those for now.
Yeah, let's not
Filters.
give folks search. Not give search. And what we want to see is that, like, I don't need mapping. Let's just kind of see that upvote function. Oh, so it actually communicates.
Yeah, so I think we have to create. It must be. We have to. I would guess it's a number column, but
Right. So let's call it upvotes. Boom. Let's give it. You're not gonna have partial integer. Create that field. Right. Okay. So refresh. I'm gonna keep playing with this after the stream.
yeah, I actually just did our website last weekend.
That's awesome.
I sat down for an hour and just put up a website. Well, it's not live yet, but
upvotes. Okay, so we see they're at 0 because we
Yep.
oh, maybe we have to set it to 0. I think that makes more sense because it pulls in the live value. Right, because right now it's like empty, which is different from 0, I guess.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting. Good point.
And then let's save this. I mean, I guess publish.
Yep.
And I have no way of accessing this page, so I imagine it's this
/ upvote.
Upvote. Oh, I need to log in, I guess.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops, I just gave everyone my password. And then I imagine now, because I'm logged in, I can go to upvote. No. What did I call this?
Upvoting.
Upvoting. Man, I am terrible at naming things. Upvote makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't know which company this is. But it's okay, I can upvote it.
So actually, I did notice this. So actually, one of the things that they actually pushed this back to the database, and then it didn't pull in. But if you refresh that page,
okay,
yes.
so it's not a live. You can see the.
Yeah, it's not live. Which I did give feedback. I think they should update the front end number immediately, and then send the data back. So it is capturing an Airtable, but you don't see it until you refresh, which is not
and
ideal.
Also, you have unlimited votes. So every time you refresh, you can re-vote. So
there's some work to do, I think, maybe on
for sure. But it's a good start. I think if you didn't tell people they could vote multiple times, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. But I've sold their secret. I've given it away. So that's a good start. What else was there? So upvoting. Okay, so Penny has a good question. Could we show information associated to the user?
Yes, we can. So this is where pushing the data, if you go back to the data piece,
you
want to connect to Airtable. And let's connect it to, I think I created a tab for LPs. So that'll be my users.
Wait, it's right here. LP updates or LPs. So like base. Okay, I'm at the base. So portal.
Airtable app. Oh, yeah, portal, yeah.
And then LPs.
LPs, yeah. And I think I have an email field.
Yeah, you do.
And
name is fine. Field. We don't need it.
Yeah, we don't need it for now.
Okay.
And then actually let's go back to the live data. So click the view test data tab right here on the top right. So let's go. So now I think I'm a little confused by this, but I think at this point, if I remember correctly, you have to add a user. Your data is not being pushed to Airtable because the user was added before. So you can delete that user and recreate it if you want that data to be pushed back to Airtable.
Oh, right, because this view. So what I'm expecting is that if I add a user here, it shows up in Softr.
So I think that's not how it works. The way it's set up is if you add it to user, it pushes it to Airtable. So what you want to do is you want to, I guess you could recreate it, but yeah, I might, add a new user or.
Awesome.
What I like is that the password is stored, right? So now you're there.
Got it. Okay,
let's and I guess name didn't get pushed correctly. I'm not sure why, but let's update.
Oh, because I didn't map it. Because I probably didn't map it.
Oh, okay. But let's add a name in the Airtable.
Let's add a name. You mean, just
add
it
for you. Yeah. And then let's go back to the organization table.
Go back to the organization table.
And then add a linked column to users.
Okay, links record. You're much faster than I am at Airtable. I don't say that very often. So so we want to. Oh, we do want to allow multiple users potentially.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and then
So
let's
let's
add you
say-
to a handful of them.
Let's actually. Do you mind if we do it to funding rounds? Because we already have that
sure.
page set up.
Oh yeah,
That makes more
yeah.
sense.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for the back and forth. So user, and then LPs. Boom. And then I
Maybe
want
we'll
to
add you to
associate.
2 of them.
Yeah. So I want the carry on these 2 investments. Is what I'm saying.
Yep.
I'm
So we
responsible
can-
for these 2.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
then
we we want to filter on this variable here. If we go Softr pages,
portal home.
portal home, which is associated to that table,
Oh.
and then we want essentially. So I'm just kind of. I feel like that was going fast. So essentially, we want what appears here to only show what's associated to our user, right?
Mhm.
So here, go ahead.
Conditional filter. Show list
Conditional filter.
items to the users that match any of the following conditions. And then so you go add condition. Field is the, what did we call it?
User. I call it user because I'm bad at
Okay.
naming things.
User.
User somewhere here? No, we don't see it.
Oh,
Wait, did I call it user? 1 second.
I know we're like going faster because we have a few minutes left.
Yeah, so we have user here as a linked record. And then maybe I refresh. Let me give it another refresh. And I should see user. I don't see user. Is it, do I have to use a lookup because it is a linked record?
How do I do that? I thought there was a way to do this.
Let's give it a try.
Maybe-
Let's give it
Okay, let's try it.
username lookup. So it's a formula field.
Yep,
And this is going to be user. Right?
yep.
And then I should refresh. Username is
And then I logged in users.
name.
Name. Perfect.
Okay, let me just make sure I named myself correctly before I do anything because I have Aron 2
Yep.
and I want to make sure. So if I go back into users, I call myself Aron 2 without a space.
Yep.
And in LPs, Aron 2 without a space. Okay, just making
Yep.
sure I don't want to. Whoops, that's my. I can close this one out. Okay, so here, there we go.
And
So
then I don't think you
I'm-
published yet.
No, I haven't. So let me just explain what we did. We said only show records in the funding rounds table where the username is equal to Aron 2, right? And that is because the logged in user, myself, has Aron 2. So there's 2 things we actually need to do here if I understand correctly. If I go to pages, I'm going to publish this.
Yep.
No, this is the wrong page.
I think when you push publish, it just publishes all the changes you made.
Oh,
So
right.
it doesn't
Okay,
matter
that
where
makes
you're
sense.
from.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Publish that. Okay.
Oh.
So
And then I
now
want to make sure you're logged in again from
with my new
plus
one.
1. Yes.
Yeah, +1. Okay, so log in. 1, 2. Okay, there we go. Boom!
There you go.
That's another success. I'm so impressed. I'll give it
Alright.
another success.
I don't think we need to squeeze in much more. I'm pretty happy about how much we got done in that time.
Yeah, no, I'm super impressed. I'm super impressed, and we're right on time here. So, yeah. So log in. I'm gonna drop my login details in the chat. If you think this is not real, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy paste those. You can play around. Let me know, Arthur, if I'm breaking any rules here. There we go. So in the chat, you've got my login details. And yeah, well, Yohei, any parting words of, maybe to folks watching, like any parting words before we sign off here?
I mean, for anybody, I think, interested in no code, people often ask me, where should I start, right? I mean, there's a lot of educational tools, but I think anytime you have a project idea, just sit down and work on it, right? I mean, for my LP portal, I had an idea, I sat down, and it took me about 30 minutes to decide I was going to go with Softr. And then, I whipped it up, 4.5 hours. But I think for people who are earlier, just, if you come up with an idea, try rebuilding it or pick a company, pick a platform you like and try to rebuild it in software. I think it just builds that muscle that allows you to like really soak in all the functionality of the tools that are available, so that when you do think of ideas, you already know if you can or can't do it. And I think that's a really powerful place to get to. So play with all the no-code tools.
Yeah, no, and actually, I remember, if I could speak personally, I remember trying to pick up Webflow, right, and being like, oh, I need to figure out like CSS and grid and blah blah blah, and I dropped it a few times, right? I was like, oh, I don't get it, right? And I actually think this is like a level of abstraction above, where if you just prefer the database side of it and you get it, you can kind of get this up and running, and it's actually a good stepping stone to like, oh, well, I understand kind of what a CMS is now. I can step towards more complex no-code tools or even coding. So I really like this level of abstraction, and I'm really glad. Oh, I have the wrong. Sorry, Penny tells me I have the wrong base. So let me share this with y'all. There you go. There we go. No, I want to share the whole thing. Sorry about that, folks. So grab that before you go. There we go, and I'll leave that up for a moment. So you should now have the new base. This one is the one, so just go ahead and share that, and it'll be in the description of this video as well. What it doesn't matter what I was saying. Yohei, thanks so much for joining. It was
this was fun.
A real joy, a huge. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with what you built. I'm impressed with how quickly you've grasped it.
I didn't build it. Yeah, I'm impressed with the Softr team.
No, I mean, yeah, but what you built on top of it. And I really appreciate, honestly, the fact that you're kind of publicly showing what's possible from, as a solo capitalist and as a solo venture firm. But yeah, just, keep building stuff. And every time you build something cool, you're more than welcome to come to Automate All the Things to teach all of us how you've done it.
Thank you.
All right.
This is fun.
Thanks, Boris. Thanks, Colleen. Thanks, Softr team. Gonna see you next week. Where we're actually have the Stripe payments team. Stripe payment links is going to come on and show how to create payment links with Airtable. I'm going to update that in just a moment. But yeah, huge thanks to everyone. Have a great day, everyone. And I will see you on the stream next week. Bye, y'all.